All right, welcome. My first thoughts are say it ain't so. High school football season is officially ended last Friday night in our area. Actually, last Saturday night in our area, with the East Regional Final losses by Jacksonville on Saturday night and Northside on Thursday night. But we had some tremendous football in our area. Some record-setting performance by individuals, some historic wins by teams, and, man, just overall some really, really good football. So we got two viewers that have picked up already. The first thing I'm going to ask y'all is put in your comments you can hear us. So I'm not going to get 10 minutes into the show. I want to apologize. Actually, I need to apologize to our sponsor, Marine Federal. I went through their plug yesterday. And with no audio, so nobody heard it, but we'll give them a plug today. And I went through our lunch sponsor, Steve's Subs, yesterday, and no one heard that. So Steve's Subs, Steve Wan, Western Boulevard, Bryn Mawr Plaza, Bryn Mawr Shopping Center there. Thanks for the food yesterday. He's our new food sponsor for the show. And Beth Harrell says sound is good. So thank you, Beth. So we missed Marine Federal and we missed Steve's yesterday. So make up for that. So welcome to the Man Cave Media Network and the Down East Prep Report, brought to you by Marine Federal. I'm your host, Steve Goodson, and along with co-host Chris Miller. We're joined this week by White Oak High School head football coach Jonathan Bird, because we were going to do a recap of the season, and we said, who better to help us recap?
Well, we've had Bird on so many times that he should be the third.
He actually should. We'll start like a Three Amigos show or something.
Or Three
like
Stooges.
That. Three Stooges, how about that?
About right.
Yeah. So we're going to recap last week's Eastern Regional Final games. We're going to have our last player of the year for the week, and we're going to look back on Chris's top 10 moments of this fall season. And why not, man? Why not? Everybody else does it. Starting with college, literally the clock hit zero in the national championship game, and they're already talking about next year who's preseason number one. So we're not gonna get that in depth, but we're gonna go into a little bit about what to expect next fall. So it's local football, and it's all right here on the Down East Prep Report. And again, we want to thank our show sponsor, Marine Federal. At Marine Federal, you're more than just a member. You're part of a community with personalized service, competitive rates, and a commitment to your goals. Marine Federal is here to help you thrive every step of the way. Visit marinefederal.org to learn more and discover how Marine Federal Credit Union can help you build a better financial future. So we're going to start things off, like I said, and recap last week's action by the Player of the Week, which is sponsored by Jason Humphrey and Down East Heating and Cooling. And that Player of the Week is junior. And you had on the thing you sent me sophomore, but he's a junior.
Yeah, he's a junior.
Yeah, I max prepped it. It's okay.
Yeah, you struggled yesterday. I struggled today.
You struggled. That's all right. We all have it, except Bird's the only one that doesn't struggle, right? So, but hey, when you got here, you told me you were working.
Yeah, I had
Kamari. You had Kamari.
Yeah, I had two of my college guys come in and train today with everybody else, and so I gave them a good little butt whooping and sent them on their way.
Nice.
Can't let them embarrass me.
Nope, absolutely not. And that'd be hard to do anyway, because you're damn strong as an ox. But anyway, Sammy Rogers Jr., strong safety, Jacksonville High School. Of course, last Saturday, Middle Creek tops Jacksonville 31-21. But the 6'2", 195-pound Rogers played a vital role. And I've got Friday night. It's in Saturday night in keeping the Cardinals in the East Regional Finals against Middle Creek. In addition to providing strong run support for the Jacksonville defense, Rogers had 2 interceptions of the Mustang quarterback. And what's kind of so impressive about that is they threw a ton this year. Quarterback threw a ton for almost 2,500 yards. He had only thrown in single-digit interceptions all year. So Rogers got two more to add to that. And I will say this, according to Max Prep, and but maybe didn't have the game in there from Saturday night, Rogers is going to end the season with over 60 tackles, total tackles, including about 50 solo tackles. So I'm going to ask you guys this. I'm going to ask Coach this. 60 tackles total, for a DB? Is that about average?
Nah, that's above average.
Is it above
especially
average?
with as good as they were defensively.
Yeah.
I mean, you got to make it to the third level a lot of times for him to even be able to make a play.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Well, that's what I was thinking when I saw that.
Yeah,
I was like,
that kid's a ball player. But
is he?
He's a good ball player. Good at coverage, and he'll fill the box. I mean, he's what you want as a strong safety type.
And he's got good genes. His dad,
Yeah.
his daddy was a heck of a ball player too.
Genetics
man.
and DNA matter, man.
That is exactly
An
right.
interesting note here is that his grandfather was the first African American quarterback in Jacksonville High School history.
I didn't know that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we actually did a story on that probably about 10, 15 years ago because not to get political, but a former then current city council was making that claim, and then we did a story to just to clarify the situation. So yeah, that's and that means a lot to to Butch and Sammy and the Rogers family. The fact that they're the history like that. So that does mean a lot to them.
What was the granddad's name? You remember? I'm assuming last name was Rogers, but so Leander Green wasn't the first black quarterback for Jacksonville.
No,
High
it
School.
was Rogers.
Wow. Okay. That's great, man. That is awesome. Well, congratulations, Sammy. You'll be back next year, as well as a lot of players for Jacksonville, and we'll talk about that in the last segment. We'll dive in a little bit about where we're heading, but congratulations, last player of the week for the Down East Prep Report in the football show. And again, the player of the week is brought to you by Down East Heating and Air Conditioning, Down East Eating and Hair, a family tradition of quality since 1986 with locations in Jacksonville, Wilmington, and North Myrtle Beach. Down East Heating is the #1 Bryant dealer of the Carolinas. Home, office, garage, man cave, and yes, even a basement. Down East has the perfect system to help you stay comfortable during this football season. Head over to downeastheating.com and let Down East put their talents to work for you. So we're going to cut over now and just quickly recap. There's just some notes that I kind of made from the stuff that you had written on Sunday and Friday and Saturday about Northside. So again, the third seed Middle Creek Mustangs defeat the top seed Jacksonville Cardinals 31-21. Middle Creek, and I meant to print the stuff out about the state playoffs, but Middle Creek will play Watauga.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know what day they're playing. I know they're not playing tomorrow.
They'll be Friday at 4:00.
They'll be Friday. Oh, that's right. Friday at 4:00. So they'll be playing Friday at 4:00. Middle Creek won't have far to go from because they're playing in Chapel Hill, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So they won't have far to go. Watauga. I saw some something on Twitter X yesterday. Watauga didn't get to Middle Creek and the schools around in that area didn't get to practice yesterday because no school. Watauga was going to try to practice. I don't know if you guys saw it or not.
I saw the picture.
Their field was covered with snow. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how prep goes this week. Coach, what do you do when we've been around hurricanes, right? And stuff like that. What's
I hope my boss doesn't hear this, but if we're ever in that situation, we were talking about this with Kinston. Kinston lost the day because of they shut them down and then couldn't practice the next day because they didn't have school, so they lost 2 days of practice. I said, well, I figured worst they could do was probably find me of some sort. I'd have practiced.
Yeah.
Y'all have just been mad at me, but I couldn't sleep at night if I knew I didn't prepare the way I needed to prepare for a state title game.
Let me ask you this, and I think I know your answer to this. As long as it wasn't the state championship game, if you did that and the reprimand was having to sit out a game next season,
not a question in my mind.
Hands down, you do it right.
Yeah, without a doubt. And my kids would have found a way to practice.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had to organize anything. They would have been somewhere at a park somewhere doing something.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Can anybody really say anything if you meet off of school grounds and it's a text thread with the kids? And
you would probably still get in trouble.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'd just as soon be in trouble as not feel like I let all those kids down.
It's easier to ask for forgiveness than it is.
When you say hands down, all that entails is probably a slap on the hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
I'd happily pay the fine out of my pocket and not even worry.
Yeah. Well, you can control a lot of things, but the weather is one thing that you cannot control. So Again, Jacksonville 21, Middle Creek 31. Just a real quick recap. After a close first half, which was 17-14, that I think, in my opinion, the turning point came opening kickoff second half. Middle Creek stripped Jacksonville on the second half kickoff. They took over at the Cardinals 24. And then the quarterback, which we were talking about before off air, Sevilla is how you say it, who was known for his passing, threw an 18-yard touchdown pass, and they went up 24-14. And honestly, that in my opinion, that just kind of swung the momentum. You were there, you were in Cherokee at the time, right? Yeah. Thoughts about that? I mean, that was a pretty big play, right?
Well, it was a momentum swinger because the game was tied. Jacksonville had a hard time, other than the interception in the first half, had a hard time stopping Middle Creek. Held them to a field goal late in the second quarter, which was a win in Jacksonville's book.
Which was a
And so you're
win.
only down 3 going into the third quarter, and you get the ball. Your thought process is, hey, if Jacksonville can score a touchdown there, maybe they'll start to pull away, and then they. Just a turnover and turn of events, and all of a sudden, it's a 10-point game. And as hard as Jacksonville tried to get back in the game, they just couldn't consistently get stops, couldn't consistently move the ball. Really had a hard time running the ball. Saturday night.
Yeah, there was several plays. I listened to it on the radio. Full disclosure, I was here watching the college football games, and the weather was crappy. Yeah. So I got the best of both worlds. But full disclosure, I heard a lot on the radio, Jerry Allen and Bob Warlick. I heard a lot on the radio of 2 or 3 yard loss. Mm-hmm. I mean, there was a lot, and I don't remember that a lot this year.
Yeah.
With Jacksonville and their running game, because their line has been
they've been steady all year, and the scheme that they run, it kind of makes it difficult to drop them for a loss. I mean, you have to get into that read and that mesh, and they do a really good job of making sure that can't happen. Yeah. And that's a testament to their program for rarely having lost yardage plays, but I think just a little bit of too many injuries, across the front and the backfield probably helped Middle Creek with that.
You think, and not to, and we'll get to the rest of this, but while I'm thinking about, you're talking about the injuries, I didn't realize, but the kid that broke his leg, he was the second leading tackler on the.
Yeah.
So that was a big loss on the defensive side of the ball as well, right?
Yeah, it was, and you didn't notice it when they played Union Pines the previous week, but it definitely played a part Saturday against Middle Creek, and then Amari Pearson was still a little bit banged up, and just offensive line was a little bit banged up as well. So I mean, it's just kind of everything that could have gone wrong Saturday night did go wrong.
Yeah. So Sevilla ended up finishing. He only threw 15 passes, man. Which again we touted a couple weeks ago when we were previewing the game that they had thrown for a ton of yardage. Had a 1,000-yard receiver, but he finished 8 for 15 for 112 yards. He did have 2 touchdown passes. Rushed for 84 yards, and again I wasn't there. Was listening on the radio. But the kid seemed to pound the ball. I mean, he seemed to just pound the ball. They run a lot of stuff up the middle, didn't they?
Well, and a lot of his stuff was scrambling.
What was it? Okay.
It was scrambling. Yeah. And if you look at that, they only gained 280 yards of total offense. Middle Creek did. They lost 20 of those on a bad punt snap that gave Jacksonville life late in the game, and they just weren't able to capitalize. So, but still only about 300 yards of total offense compared to 177 for the Cardinals. So it wasn't like Middle Creek just totally dominated them and really put up an impressive number of stats. But they did what they needed to do and came away with the victory.
So he did have, like I said, 84 yards and had a 31-yard touchdown run. You mentioned the total yardage, 280 to 177. 184 to 67 in the first half, and so Jacksonville to be down 17-14, only almost getting tripled up in yardage. Yeah. That's a testament right there. So just highlights for Jacksonville. Baker, how he's done a lot this year, whether it's been on the punt or kickoff, return to kickoff, 98 yards for a touchdown. Pearson that we just talked about had a 3-yard TD run. Thompson caught a 21-yard TD pass. to cut it to 10, and the final score with 9 minutes left. And then, of course, Sammy Rogers had 2 interceptions. So same cast of characters that we every week for Jacksonville that we seem to mention, Baker, Pearson, Thompson, having games. And I just want to say to Jacksonville, say to the team, tell the Bo, man, great year. I know you guys wish that it would have turned out differently, but you represented obviously the school, your school, the city, the town, and the community. Great, and you guys will be back. So just congratulations on that. You guys, any parting shots on the game and for them?
Yeah, and I've said this before. I mean, I did it with Josh Smith last year. I interviewed Blake Moses and Avery Apicella after the game, senior linebackers. It's not easy to do, and it's not fun if you're a player's perspective. I get it, but credit those guys. They showed a lot of class, and they showed some maturity. So they earned a lot of respect. I already had a lot of respect for them, but they earned even more respect by talking to me and talking about what made this season special. And so credit those guys.
Yeah, because that's the last thing you want to do after something like
that.
Yeah, and you hate to do it, but you do want to kind of talk to the guys.
That's part of it, man.
Yeah.
You have to, as a kid who's these are young men now, honestly. I mean, let's go. They're 17, 18 years old. They're young men. They have to learn to fight through adversity, and this is just one of those things. With adversity, they would love to talk to you when they win, but life ain't always about winning, man. And you got to buckle it up and do it. So kudos to them for doing it, right, Coach?
Absolutely. And you get a lot of true answers when the moments are the way they are.
A little more raw.
Yeah,
right?
you know what I mean? And you don't get the rehearsed, blanket answer sometimes. You get the truth of the matter. And I mean, that's a great football season. I mean, they had a great year, and I think, if they play Middle Creek multiple times, I think Jacksonville normally would get the better of them overall, And so that's a hard pill to swallow for the kids and for Bo and the coaching staff. But, they do a great job, and I'm sure Bo went right back to work. I mean, there's no question in my mind that he's already preparing, getting ready for the next run at it. So.
And it was Jackson Henry that I interviewed, and he gave me a really great quote about how we are a brotherhood, but you really find out how close of a brotherhood you have in the lows. And right now we're suffering a low. So that was a great line that he gave me after the game. It was Jackson Henry.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Well, let's move on to Northside. So Northside played Thursday night, traveled to Wilson. I actually went to the game. Long way from here to Wilson. Well, a little while. Number 3, Northside 7, Wilson 21. Number 1 seed Wilson Hunt will play. Who do they play in the finals? Do you know?
Oh, was it Shelby, Coach? I mean, no.
The Shelby's versus Kinston.
Yeah, Shelby's against Kinston. Anyway, they play this weekend. Kind of the highlights. Northside at the very beginning of the game, and we missed. I got there midway through the first quarter, but they recovered an onside kick on the opening play, but they couldn't score. And to me, that kind of set the tone right there. Hunt controlled most of the first half. They made a field goal 3-0 and then blocked the punt, and they returned it for a TD 10-0. And like I said, we got there with about 3 minutes to go in the first quarter, and it was 10-0. So no more scoring. Hunt did tack on a field goal in the second quarter to give them a 13-0 halftime lead. Defensive standouts in the second half for Hunt. They had 2 interceptions, Mez Harris and Isaiah Chadwick. Northside stayed, man. They battled.
Mm-hmm.
They had some penalties. First time that I've seen the Davis kid live. He's a player, man. He's a little scat back. It reminds me of Julian Edelman. Or
he's a ball player, buddy.
Yeah, he is a great player. It seemed like any time when Northside needed a catch or needed some yardage, they went to him. Yeah. Unfortunately, Wilson kind of figured that out too. But they got in striking distance twice. They drove to the Hunt 5, and it was halted by a sack. And then in the fourth quarter, Hunt, I think Hunt was already up 20-0. I don't think it was 13-0. I think they were already up 20-0. They got to Hunt's 31, and the drive was ended by another sack. And so Northside's highlight really was Anderson came back from his injury.
Mm-hmm.
He had 85 total rushing yards, 16 carries, and he scored on a 4-yard TD run in the fourth quarter to cut it to the final score, 21. It was 20-7, wasn't it? Yeah, I've got 20. Yeah, I've got 21, but it was 20. But it was 20-7.
And Rely, a rusher for 85 yards, got him over the 1,000-yard mark. I noticed that the other day. So
yeah, and actually, he actually posted something today on Twitter right before we came on. First time, another sort of first time in Northside history that they've had a quarterback throw for over 1,000 yards and a back rush for over 1,000 yards.
Mm-hmm.
So Gray obviously Reginald Gray was over 1,000 yards throwing the ball, and Rely topped 1,000 yards rushing.
Yeah, I think the Gray kid ended up breaking the single season passing record was at Northside.
He broke the single season pass record a couple weeks ago to go over. It was over 1,900 yards at the time, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah. So he finished about 2,600 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. So he had a great year. Sophomore coming back.
Yeah. Good player, good talent, good everything. He's going to be good. Return to running back, return to receiver, return to almost the whole offensive line. They're going to be tough again.
Yeah, they're going to be legit. So
and Hunt does play Crest.
Do what now?
They play Crest.
They play Crest. Okay. So my last thoughts on this, just like with Bo, and then I've got some questions for you guys about both games. But my last thought is, Coach Pollock, man, you guys, you had a great year. I mean, you went farther. I think you guys were ready to play. I think there was some anticipation. A lot of folks thought maybe outside your circle thought you might be a year away, that next year might be your year. But you guys gave a valiant effort. You got a ton of talent coming back. I know that's not any consolation for this year. And I think he said he had 13 seniors on this year's team, and about 5 or 6 of them got a lot of playing time. So that's not a consolation for them. But you got a ton of folks coming back, and you'll make a run next year, and you'll reload, and I'm looking forward to the Northside Croatan game next year.
Well, and I was going to say, I mean, and I think the Northside folks will say this too. Next year they will have a strong season. They'll have high expectations, but they also know they're going to have to continue to work because it won't be easy. Havelock is everybody got their chops, got their hits on them early before they kind of figured things out. And so they're going to be back and loaded again. Croatan's going to be locked and loaded again. So it's going to be a very interesting conference race between the Rams, Cougars, and Monarchs next year. I think on paper you still give Northside the edge in the conference, but Croatan and Havelock, I mean, they're no slouches either.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about that. So that near the end of the show. So, Coach, any last thoughts about this Northside team? Y'all played them opening game.
Yeah. And I told people after watching their 2 scrimmage films that they're a lot better than you think they are. Oh no, they've been down. I'm like, I've watched the film.
Yeah,
and then they prove me right every week.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, Coach Pollock's a good football coach. Sabdo's been there for a few years. He's a good football coach. They're going to be steady.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that, administratively and coaching, everything aligns for them, and, they can get all the kids where they need to be in the weight room and, all that stuff. That's the overlooked part that people don't think about is, you have to have an administrator that's willing to make sure you got all your athletes in weight training, helping you monitor the grades, helping you do all those things to be successful. It's a big picture. And so I think he's got all that kind of where he needs it to be to put that program back where it was. And so, I mean, other than when they play us, I'm pulling for them.
Exactly. That is exactly. And me too, Coach. Yeah, me too.
Well, what happens when they play Jacksonville? You hope for a scoreless tie?
Yeah, I hope they somehow both lose. I don't know how.
Bad weather. Bad
Yeah.
weather where the game does not get played.
A no contest.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you guys some questions, and you can take these guys. You can take them however you guys want to take them. So Jacksonville described their team as you mentioned, as a brotherhood. How did that mentality show up in the fight late in the Eastern Regional against Middle Creek?
You could definitely tell kind of that the result was going to be certain, that the emotions were starting to show and guys were getting a little frustrated and getting upset. But I did see a lot of bond, these guys keeping their bond, keeping their togetherness after the game, a lot of embracing, players spending time with each other. And sometimes those are it stinks and it's sad, but those are probably some of the memories you're going to remember for the rest of your life. Was, yeah, the wins were great, but you're going to remember, hey, yeah, we lost that regional final at home, and that feeling standing on the field with your brothers the last time. And I think that some of those guys said that. They said as much.
Yeah. If you just saw, the Queen came into the show. She may come in and out. She may end up with that vacant seat right there. She may end up beside Coach here in a minute. So, Coach, let me ask you this. Middle Creek broke through after they've lost multiple times in the regional finals. What does their growth this season tell you about their program and development? And I was reading something, if I'm not mistaken, the head coach is in his 30s. He's like a young kid in his 30s. They've had a lot of success over the last several years. So talk about that from your perspective.
Well, so, as far as Onslow County goes, Middle Creek's probably new to most people. I mean, it's not an old school. It's only been around 15, maybe 20 years. But it's been a 4A school for this entire time. And then the realignment change brought them down to where they right at the top of 6A. So a lot of people are probably not familiar with them, but they've been successful. Large population of kids that typically helps. I mean, they're 1,800 plus in students. But it's a really well-coached team. They had good size, good speed, and it could, just a solid program. We talked a little bit off air that I had watched them on film versus Rose from early in the year. And you could tell they were a talented group of guys that they've got the DN / tackle linebacker. They move him all around. That's going to Campbell. He's a good ball player. I think we're 4. So if you couldn't control him, you weren't going to control a whole lot, and which is, easier said than done. So, that program has been successful, and they've got, Division I talent. When you got Division I talent and guys that all work hard and get on the right path, you're normally going to win. That they're going to have a match in the state title.
Are they? Okay. Yeah. Not familiar with, don't know much about Watauga.
Been pretty successful long-term over the last 10 years. It's a good program. It'd be interesting. Fight. They're there for a reason too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And, it says something about Middle Creek. If I'm not mistaken, their soccer team made it to the state championship as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there's some athletes in that area where that school is. So they've got some athletes. So, Chris, let me ask you this. Northside recovered the opening onside kickoff we talked about, but didn't capitalize. How much did that missed opportunity like that, how much did that shape the overall game, do you think? Do you think that play, I mean, that was just, you would hope that it happened. You played through it, but they came out trying to make a point right off the bat with the onside kick. Do you think that shaped the rest of the game, or do you think?
I think it contributed. I mean, you recover the onside kick, and they've had success throughout the whole season doing recovering those onside kicks or pooch kicks. You're already on the emotional high, and let's say you score, even if you get a field goal there, okay, that's kind of almost like a cherry on top of that emotional high. Now you're carrying that momentum into the next kickoff. Do you try that? You try another onside kick or pooch kick and see what happens after that. If the fact that they weren't able to score probably was a little bit of a letdown. Hunt comes back, kicks a field goal, and then the next sequence blocks a punt, scores a touchdown. So just like that, you're feeling the all-time high, and then you're down 10-0.
Yeah, and that was actually going to be my follow-up, Coach. Question for Coach. So, which single momentum shift you think which sequence shifted the momentum more? Middle Creek's second half kickoff strip against Jacksonville, or Hunt's block punt TD against Northside, which Chris said it let they onside kick, recovered, didn't score, gave up the field goal, then they get the ball back, immediately punt, and it's blocked. What do you think, man?
I would probably say the Jacksonville one just because it's later in the game,
Okay.
you know, and they're able to ride that high a little longer to finish out the game. But anytime you get a block punt, man, that's a rough sequence because it's always deep in your own territory. It's giving up a short field. You know, and the same thing with that kickoff return. You're coming out from the second half. You know, you're feeling like, okay, we're down one score. We drive this thing down, score. We took the lead. We've got all the momentum, and then it swings on you.
You know, there's something about a turnover, right? I mean, there's something about a fumble or an interception that gets everybody jacked. But it's something about blocking a punt, man.
Well, and part of that is because you've had that sequence of 3 plays where you've stopped them in a row,
and that's just just the cherry on top, right?
Yeah.
So, Coach, let me ask. Chris, let me ask you this: Jacksonville and Northside struggled, so kind of two different teams. Jacksonville a little more, even though they were young in some areas, a little more experience. Northside, had a lot of young guys. Struggled more inexperience, execution errors, or potentially the opposing team's schemes and their execution. What do you think were the major factors for Jacksonville and Northside?
I think it was Middle Creek's defensive scheme, because the one thing I noticed is that they would line up, wait till Jacksonville's offensive line kind of did the calls, and then they would adjust the defensive line. Okay. So I think that kind of caused some confusion on the offensive line, maybe attributed to why the Mustangs were able to get some penetration. So I would say more scheme for Middle Creek defensively than anything else.
And Coach, what do you think about Northside?
I would probably say Northside was probably the little bit of, and I'm not going to use, I hate using the word inexperience because they have tons of experience as far as games played throughout the year, but inexperience being down. Okay. You know, they weren't losing many games throughout the year. And sometimes that's a mindset thing that you got to
just facing that adversity,
flip that switch and understand that, you know, it's going to go 4 quarters. And sometimes when you've been a front runner all year, it's hard to deal with that. I mean, I had to deal with that a couple years ago. I mean, we were 21 points ahead of almost every opponent going into the third quarter. And then when you got into a dogfight, you know, you got to, it's a different mentality.
Yeah.
It's a different focus. It's a different level of execution that has to take place. And, you know, unfortunately they didn't run into that a ton, you know, throughout the year. So inexperience in that position, not necessarily inexperience in games played, because I mean, they played a bunch of tough football teams throughout the year. I mean, you know, played Croatan and Havelock during the regular season. I mean, Rocky Mount was no slouch. Cape Fear was no slouch. So it's not, you know,
you guys, Jacksonville,
it's not like they played not quality opponents. They just hadn't really been behind. They hadn't had that momentum swing against them early.
Yeah.
And, you know, so having to deal with that little bit of adversity, you know, you're never happy to lose, but I think it's a good learning tool for those young guys because they're all returning.
Yeah.
You know, so
great leeway segue into my next question. Last question about this. So what are the biggest takeaways from these games about building resilience and maintaining performance under pressure in high stakes playoffs situations? And I'll start with you, Chris, and then we'll finish with Coach. For this question.
Well, how often do you hear the Cardinals, Jacksonville, say next play, next man up, next play? So I think that has been instilled in a lot of those guys and a lot of other programs as well. But they really take that and run with it. So in terms of being resilient, you know, I think they're used to it. I think they're coached up for it.
All right, Coach.
I think it will set them up for positive things in the future. You know, even as kids go, even as a coach, you still have to learn those moments. You still have to learn those opportunities. And sometimes if you've never been there, man, you're just not unsure. You think you know what you're going to do, and then when the bullets start flying,
what's the Mike Tyson?
Everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the mouth.
Everybody's got a plan until you get hit in the face or the mouth or whatever.
Yeah,
and that's kind of.
And that's so, you know, I'm sure it's going to be a great learning tool, you know, in the process. I mean, you're talking about, you know, between Jacksonville and Havelock. I mean, Jacksonville and Northside. We're talking about two really good football coaches.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're going to use that to help propel this to keep going. I mean, I would suspect they're both going to be very good again next year.
Yeah.
Even if they were losing large number of kids, and they're not, but even if they were,
Yeah.
I think, the value of playoff practices with young guys and having that opportunity to them understand this is the expectation, the lack of focus that sometimes happens in JV football will never be tolerated.
Yeah.
Lack of, you know what I mean? And that's helped them.
Yeah.
It'll help them. So, you lost in the Eastern title game, which nobody's going to be happy losing that game. No real football coach is happy losing any game.
Yeah.
But it did allow them to pull on that moment, over the next 6 months in the weight room and spring practice, you need to remember that feeling because, that's a feeling you don't want to feel again.
So you said something interesting, and I'm going down a rabbit hole off script. You said something about playoffs and extra practices. Totally not related to high school football, to college football. What do you guys think? And it relates to this, extra practices. What do you think about all these college teams turning down, opting out? It started with Notre Dame, obviously, and the last thing I saw, it was like 5 or 6 teams that have declined. Florida State has declined a bowl bid, and just tell me about your thoughts about that, man.
I can tell you what I believe it is. I'm sure all those coaches were well aware of all the older kids that were going to opt out of that and not play, get ready for the combine, and the ones that they know are probably going into transfer portal, and they're looking at their roster saying,
we get our brains
or
beat out.
I would end up having to burn a red shirt because I've already played this kid in 4 games. Okay, so now is this good for my program or bad for my program? Now, if you're asking me, I personally hate it. Hate everything about it, but
you get it.
I understand when you have a $5 million a year job, and if you don't win, you get fired. Do I really want to bring my developmental guys to go play against somebody who may not be doing that? And so I understand. I don't like it. I think there's a million things the NCAA's got to get under control. The portal, NIL money, just contractually with coaches, letting them leave, at the current situation, I think there needs to be windows put on that is best for both program, school, and coach. There's got to be the
thing about it too, Coach, is that it's a lot of it is sequencing, time frames, calendar wise, things that are happening. I mean, obviously, we're not going to get in. We talk about it on 2 Minute Six Pack, Lane Kiffin's situation, with leaving and stuff like that. But the NIL, this big money, the college football playoff, it's the portal. It's changing the landscape of college football. So, all right, this East Regional Final recap has been brought to you by the law offices of John Drew Warlick. And thank you, Millie, for joining us. In Jacksonville and Onslow County, when life changes fast, you need someone who moves just as fast for you. The law offices of John Drew Warlick, 3 generations of trusted local attorneys fighting for folks injured in wrecks or workplace mishaps and handling cases for the seriously injured. They also stand beside families through life's most challenging moments with experienced family law representation. If you've been hurt in a car accident or on the job, don't settle for less than you deserve. Call 910-455-7700 now to schedule a complimentary consultation. The law offices of John Drew Warlick, advocating for the injured, standing up for families, and results that matter. And just want to thank Bob Warlick for sponsoring the show. He's also double dutying at he's one of the voices of the Jacksonville Cardinals as well. So just moving on. We talked about Jacksonville. We talked about Northside, and they had great football seasons, but it was a fantastic season in our area for high school football. I personally cannot remember, and maybe it's because I started doing this show and I was a lot more involved. Maybe, I don't know, but I can't remember a season that had a lot. And I mentioned earlier, individual honors, recognitions, as well as team historic moments happening. And you put together a list of the top 10, and I thought it was really cool. And so I just kind of wanted to show this to everybody, and we'll take comments. Coach got a couple of your guys in there, so let's switch over. And I was told that these were in no particular order. I asked Chris that right off the bat.
I think I just did them from starting early in the season.
Sequencing, I think. So very first one, of course, we had him on the show. Edric returns a fumble, 50 yards for a touchdown on the final play of the game, lifting the Vikings to a 32-26 win over Kinston. A team's actually headed to the 3A state championship this weekend. The Vikings, that tied the game at 26 with 7 seconds remaining, and then when Josh connected on a
that was the game winner.
I'm sorry. Well, the 26 it was tied at 26, and Josh connected on a touchdown, and they added 2-point conversion to tie it. Yep. And then on the ensuing kickoff with 7 seconds remaining, Kinston attempted a hook and ladder. The pitch was fumbled, and Edric picked it and scooped it up and raced the length of the field for the game-winning score. Coach?
It was actually the next play. There was a
penalty
on the kickoff.
That's right.
And we had an untimed down.
Okay, that's right. That's right.
Nobody in the stadium other than the coaches and players knew what was going on. It was kind of helter-skelter. If you ever been to Kinston, it's, it's a rough place to win football games at. So, when Pineda scoops and scores and everybody's going nuts in the end zone, all I'm thinking is get away from their fans.
Crank the bus up, and let's get out of here.
That was a big win for our program, though.
That was
huge win against arguably the one of the most talented groups that we played. I mean, you gotta he's, if not better than, the second best receiver I've seen in the state of North Carolina since I've been coaching, behind Keenan Allen, who's however many year All-Pro in NFL now.
Is Keenan Allen from here?
Yeah, he played in the western part of the state.
Okay.
But I got to watch him play a couple times, and then he played in the Shrine Bowl.
Okay.
When Tamari White was playing in the Shrine Bowl.
Okay.
And so, phenomenal athlete, and Cooper is, if he ain't better, he's
right there.
Yeah, I mean, he's really, really impressive. And then the kid playing opposite of him is 6'5" and headed to Marshall to play wide receiver.
I was reading about him. So, he's kind of been overlooked because of the other kid that's going to state.
Yeah,
right? And
the running back's a really, really talented basketball player who is shifty as all can be, and the quarterback can make every throw in the book. I mean, Kinston's really talented. They're just couple players away from being able to beat some of the bigger schools, because they don't quite have the depth. And that's part of the reason why we got them. We had a little better depth than they did, but super talented team. And so that was a big win for us, being able to compete with those guys. I mean, we didn't stop Cooper. We slowed him down enough to win. Was what that come down to.
So let me ask you this, Chris. Is Kinston becoming a football school? I'd hate to say that.
I mean, Diesel would love for that to happen.
Yeah,
but
they're always going to be a basketball school. I mean, but this is not their first rodeo in the state championship game. They lost in the state final probably about 10 years ago, and then had some a little bit of a lull. So credit the Vikings of Kinston for having the season. I think they finished third, tied for second in that conference at 3-2. So they, and I think that's the other thing about this realignment thing is you never really know who's good because we have so many split conferences. Yep. So you never really knew how good Kinston was until they got into their own playoffs.
Yeah. He's done a good job of getting all the basketball kids to play
come
football.
Out. Yeah. So, and I remember the thing I remember about this obviously was we had Edric on here, and I asked him, I'm like, man, did you ever think about getting run down from behind? And he was like, all was on my mind was that we didn't want to go to overtime, and so I did not want to get caught. So great moment. That's a great first moment. Moving on, next moment that you share with us, Pearson runs past Bears. Jacksonville's junior Amari Pearson rushed for 331 yards and 6 touchdowns on just 16 carries to lead the Cardinals to a 67-34 win at New Bern. Pearson's final touchdown came on an 81-yard run, while he also had a 40-yard score. So I know they would have loved that against anybody. They loved it that it happened against New Bern.
Mhm.
You want to just talk a little bit
And
about
he was
it?
already off to a pretty decent start, but I think that's the game where everybody, okay, well, AP's for real. And they weren't saying Damon June who, but they were like, okay, now we got our marquee
Yeah.
back. So that kind of put Pearson, the AP, on the map.
Nice.
Yeah, we played New Bern the following week, so I watched that game on film. I swear to you, it looked like he was shot out of a cannon every play. He was on the third level before your eyes blinked.
I told someone, man, he gets through the whole as quick as anybody I have ever seen, man.
He's a good ball carrier,
Yeah.
man. You better get him before he gets rolling,
Yeah.
because he's going the distance if you're not careful.
Yeah. Next up, Liberty Christian plays for title. Sophomore Eddie DePaulio.
Yeah, you haven't said his name in a few weeks.
I hadn't said his name in a while. Rushed for 5 touchdowns and threw for 2 more to Holden Smith, leading Liberty Christian to a 53-8 home win over Bahrain Baptist Academy. The victory marked the Heat's 6th straight win and sent them in their 3rd year to the NC Independent 8-man Conference Championship. They finished 6-4 after they fell to Sandhills in the title game, and then I think the next week or two they went down to Florida and played in a private school deal, and I guess they got beat by this Providence Athletic Club in a tournament. But just a remarkable turnaround. 3 years. I was looking just back at some stuff, and I don't know if it was last year or if it was the first year. I didn't see who it was, but they actually got beat in a game either last year or the year before, 84 or 85 to nothing.
Yeah,
So,
that was season 1.
Okay.
I'm sure it probably was a Reginald Parrott or somebody like that. But they knew this year they were going to be a lot better, and come to find out, they will be eligible for the independent playoffs. They didn't think they were this year, with their conference kind of being a little bit different compared to other conferences. But they're going to try to continue to get better. They have a lot of guys coming back, and they're going to see if they can next year make a playoff spot.
Awesome. All right, moving on to the 4th. Northside duo sets records, and we were just talking about this. Actually about one of these guys, but this is another player. Northside Junior Gavin Davis set the Monarchs' all-time reception record, and also broke the single game record when he had 12 catches for 172 yards and 3 touchdowns against Jacksonville. Later in the season, sophomore Reginald Gray III set the Monarchs' single-season passing record, finishing with 2,474 yards and 26 touchdowns.
Just a solid combination, and like you said before, with Anderson, the run game, Northside went from being a good team to a really great team. But yeah, Gavin Davis, I mean, he's been a good player the last previous 2 years since his freshman year, and it was really good to see him take that next step. And then with their quarterback, J3, he'll continue to get better, and I think he'll have another great season next year.
That dynamic group, hard to stop.
Yeah.
Trust me, I saw it.
Yeah, you saw it firsthand, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Next up, we have
Excuse me, 3J, not J3.
J3.
Yeah.
Goulet leads Dixon to a historic win. Senior J.J. Goulet rushed for 429 yards and 7 touchdowns. That's a season for some folks.
Yep.
On 36 carries, powering number 18 seed Dixon past number 15 seed Rockingham County 58-50 in a double overtime win in the first round of the 5A state playoffs. The win was the first playoff victory in program history. I mean, that's just amazing. And further cemented Goulet as potentially, arguably, the area's best player. He finished the season with 3,361 rushing yards, which I think was leading the state, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And 43 touchdowns on 354 carries, as Dixon closed at 6-6, its winningest season since going 7-4 in 2019.
I mean, what else? I mean, we've talked about JJ throughout the season, and he was the right guy for that offense. And I know what people are going to say. Well, he benefits from the offense. Yeah, that may be true, but he also put in the work.
If a quarterback throws for 3,000 yards, doesn't he benefit from they're a passing team?
Yeah, but the question is, and good luck with you, Is he a quarterback or is he a running back? Because they snap the ball to him every time.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you don't know what he's
Good luck
doing.
figuring out that one, buddy.
You know, Coach, I told Chris this year, and we'll talk about the all area stuff later because we're going to have a show about it. I'm like, this year it's kind of crazy. You have just so many athletes, and you know, next up is going to be another athlete coming up. But go ahead and address that.
Well, that's why
man.
it's when I do my all area team, you try not to weasel your way, and it does take conversations with coaches. But there's common sense can apply.
Yeah,
it doesn't necessarily have to be this way or one way. You can throw some curveballs and spice things up a little bit for common sense to prevail.
Yeah. So I still don't envy you. That's going to be interesting when you do that. So, well, let's pop back over. And here I mentioned it. White Oak gets needed victory. Senior Josh Smith rushed for 193 yards and 2 touchdowns and threw for another as number 18 seed White Oak upset number 15 seed Eastern Guilford in the first round of the 6A playoffs. The victory was the Vikings' first postseason win since 2004 and snapped a 5-game losing streak. White Oak finished at 5-7, while Smith closed the season with 1,420 rushing yards and 13 touchdowns and 1,447 passing yards with 17 touchdowns. I'm going to start with you, man, because I know you got a lot of good things to say about this kid. Yeah. Beyond football.
Absolutely. Great human, great kid. We always joked that if he had more rushing yards than he did passing yards, then he was going to be a running back, couldn't be a quarterback. So he ended up having more passing yards, so we call him a quarterback. But 5 years ago, I never thought we would see an athlete churn out more yards than Sidney Lee did as our quarterback. And Josh absolutely destroyed that. I mean, he has over 7,000 career yards.
I'm assuming that's the most in school history by far.
It has to be. Yeah. If there is, I'm unaware of.
Well, I know you call me on occasion, not necessarily about football stuff, but about track and field stuff, discus and shot put stuff. So I know you are obviously into.
I can't find anything that's even close to it. Yeah. I mean, you figure he's had 2,500 plus yards every year for 3 years, plus some yardage as a freshman. I mean,
they can't. I mean, that's got to be a school record.
Yeah, it's uncanny what he does with the football in his hand. Just a phenomenal athlete, phenomenal leader, works his butt off. I try to kill him every day in the weight room and have yet to find his breaking point. Eventually I will. I will win one of these days. But he's amazing kid, amazing football player. I wish I could clone him a million times over, and I wish I could put his will to win in every kid I coach, because then I'd be a little more successful than I am now.
Yeah.
Chris?
And I say needed victory because, Coach, correct me if I'm wrong, but we talked about this before about there was a little bit of a cloud hanging on.
Oh, absolutely.
Not having that playoff win.
It was so I was really happy at first, after the game, because my phone's going off and it's all these coaches that I've known for years, congratulating me on my win. And I'm thinking, oh, that's really cool today. And then it kept going for 2 days. And I'm like, all right, guys, I get it.
That's enough,
I get it. I kept losing in the first round.
Hey, just imagine what happens if you win a state title.
Yeah. So, but it was awesome. And you're right. Look, and it bought me another week of practice. Like we fell back to before. I got another week of practice with younger guys, being ready, learning to mold, understanding how practice is supposed to be done. And so, every week is a blessing when it comes to football season. I had to learn that the hard way my first 3 years between Florence, Dorian, and COVID. So, I value every week now.
That's
and
exactly right.
But it was a huge win for our program, and although this obviously is sidetracked, but even the loss at Northern Nash was a huge win for our program.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. Man.
The kids hear it multiple times a week. The last team that beat us and run the clock on us was Southern Nash 4 years ago in the playoffs. Northern Nash scored late. Clock ran the last part of the game. Every day that I crush those kids in the weight room, I tell them, you can thank Northern Nash for this. Because it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so, it was a huge high. The kids were really excited. we pulled out all the stops. We rented a charter bus. We did all those things to give us the best chance to win. And we're able to pull off a win with, and then we were very competitive the next week against Northern Nash. We made some mistakes late, but we moved the ball more than really anybody until they lost, against them. So, the win in the playoffs was huge for us and, giving us a chance to
just build some momentum, man.
I'll just say it the way it is. Somebody kicked your tail, and now this is the level of expectation of work that has to take place. So it was a blessing in two things. One, blessing that you win that game, and, a blessing that, hey, look, it was a big negative the next week, but guess what? Now you know what it takes.
That's a great point. And, the last thing I'll say about Josh is not even football related, man. We had Coach Grimes and Z Hobbs on here yesterday doing the basketball show. And Josh had come out and helped in the last couple of years as just a practice player, and he's playing this year.
Yeah.
And when I asked Z Hobbs and Coach, so who's going to be impact player for you guys? Who's somebody to watch out? Both of them, without hesitation, said Josh. And just because he's just willing to do whatever, they said that actually Z and him have. The kind of leadership that Josh is bringing is different than the leadership that Z has as a basketball player, and it just speaks testimonies about the kid.
Yep, he's a great kid. He's going to do his job. I chewed him out today because I ended up watching the game on the network and didn't go, and he missed some layups there in the third and fourth. And he kind of shied away from contact, trying to make an acrobatic shot, be an athlete. I said,
man, nah, dude.
Son, I've spent 4 years in this weight room building you into someone who wants contact. Next time, you better go through him. Isn't that going to be a foul? Well, they got to call it first.
Was it? It was Croatan last time.
Yeah.
Did they win or lose?
Lost by 4.
Okay.
It was tied up going into the fourth, and we had a turnover fest there at the start of the fourth.
So they lost by 3 to Swansboro and 4 to Croatan.
And Josh, if you're listening, change your pregame hype song.
yeah, definitely change your pregame hype song. All right, next up, and I added this because this kid is just a joy. He was on the show, smiling from ear to ear. Waterboy Boucher dominates Seaforth. Croatan Jr. Andrew Boucher rushed for 197 yards and 7 touchdowns on just 15 carries, powering the number 4 seeded Cougars to a 49-13 win over the 20 seed Seaforth. In the second round of the 5A playoffs, Boucher set the tone with a 60-yard run. Then, after Seaforth tied the game, answered with a 10-yard score. He later added his 4th touchdown to push the lead to 28-7 late in the second quarter. The victory sent the Cougars to the third round of the state playoffs for the, again, first time in the history of the school. So,
and you remember what Coach Andrew Gurley said was he didn't realize he had so many touchdowns until he was at 5.
Yeah, and he said he started count. He said, oh, he's got that many. Well, maybe I'll give him the ball again so he can get another one.
Yeah. Then he remembered he had Andrew on his fantasy team. So
and Coach Andrew has said multiple occasions. Coach Gurley has said he didn't drop that ball in the end zone when you guys were at Methodist. We've razzed him about that several times, and he has said he did not drop that ball against when you guys were playing.
He said the offensive line dropped the ball.
Yeah, that's what he said.
You could blame me for not blocking long enough, maybe. But the Boucher kid's a good ball player. He's probably as far as running inside zone, he's probably the best back in the area at that. Got great vision, follow his blocks, does a really good job of that.
That's awesome. Next up, another Monarchs in streak and get more. Freshman Zon Jones, who was filling in for Anderson, rushed for 220 yards and 2 touchdowns on 35 carries, helping the number 3 seed Northside defeat the number 19 seed Pearson County in the second round of the 5A state playoffs. The victory marked the Monarchs' first postseason win since 2019 and their first home playoff victory since a 50-6 rout of CBA caught back in 2019. Later in the postseason, junior Jermaine, is that how you say it?
Well, we call him Smokey.
Okay, Smokey Johnson had 5 receptions for 157 yards and a touchdown in Northside's 21-6 fourth quarter win over Rocky Mount, sending the Monarchs to their first regional final since 2016.
Yeah, and that was a an emotional victory that second round, because remember they had a first round bye. So that was their first home playoff game in 6 years, and because I remember being at that CBA Cock game. Certain guy named Steve Brooks was coaching CBA Cock at the time, and but you could tell what that moment meant for those guys, especially the seniors and juniors who had been on the Northside team that had gotten their butts kicked the last couple of years. So it really meant a lot to win that playoff game and then go pretty far in the playoffs.
Coach,
big win for
win
the program. Helps them build. I mean,
And the funny thing about this is every kid we've had up here and featured so far, except for Josh Smith, underclassman.
Yep.
Coming back next year. Think about that.
Yep.
I mean, football in Onslow County is going to be really good again next year.
Yeah. I can't wait to talk about that. Next up, McBride kicks Croatan to another exciting win.
And that's Cannon's favorite picture. Remember?
Yeah. When we had the picture of him, you can't see it because of the way it's cropped, but at the bottom is his foot, and he's actually kicking. You can't really tell. He asked me, he's like, "Man, couldn't you find another picture?" I'm like, "Cannon, I just use what Chris gives to me." So anyway, as if Croatan's 14-7 regular season win over Havelock wasn't memorable enough, junior Cannon McBride delivered another signature moment. 32-yard field goal with 12 seconds remaining lifted the number 4 seed Cougars past number 12 seeded Havelock in the third round of the 5A state playoffs.
Yeah, and I think that win over Havelock in the playoffs meant a lot to the Cougars, because you heard people, "Oh, okay, well, you beat Havelock because it's not the same Havelock team.
Yeah.
They're down." But then Havelock got its act together and made some adjustments to their credit and became a really good football team. And I think Croatan showed it wasn't a fluke.
Yeah, we were just, on our 2-minute six-pack show Sunday night, we looked at all the high school playoff games, and I think there was 4 or 5 of us here. And I can't remember besides me, but there was one other person. Everybody was on Havelock because they just thought this isn't the Havelock team from earlier on in the season when Croatan beat them. Havelock's got it kind of rolling now. They had won 4 out of 5, 5 out of 6 or something, 4 out of 5 probably. And they were playing really good football. And it was just kind of the assumption that Havelock was going to beat them. And again, it's you talk about in basketball, when you play somebody for a third time, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in the season. It's hard to beat somebody twice in football.
Mm-hmm.
So
and when Croatan plays Havelock next year, they're not gonna. And not saying they were intimidated in previous times, but they're gonna go in that game not intimidated. Hey, we've shown we can beat Havelock. We know we can beat them again this year.
Coach, do you think any Andrew Gurley led team has ever been intimidated?
I doubt it.
Yeah,
I doubt it. And his O-line coach played at Methodist after I did too. So
did he? Okay.
Yeah, that's a good football staff, like a good group. They have 4 or 5 really good football coaches, and that their personalities match those kids. Like, it's the perfect place. I mean, Gurley graduated from Croatan, but it is the perfect place
for them to be.
Coach at.
That's awesome. All right, here we go. Last one. Cardinals get back to East Regional Finals. Jacksonville allowed just 140 yards of total offense, only 54 in the first half, as the top-seeded Cardinals defeated number 4 seed Union Pines 34-7 in the 4th round of the 6A state playoffs. The victory sent Jacksonville to the East Regional Final for the 2nd straight season, capping a historic run that included the program's first undefeated regular season since 1982 and its first outright conference championship since 1990.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about Jacksonville throughout the whole season, and just a great season for the Cardinals. As we discussed before, I think a lot of these guys had a lot to prove, given Juju graduated and Eric Griffin graduated, all these different guys graduated. So a lot of these guys, it was next man up opportunity for these guys, and they stepped up and took care of business. And I know the season didn't end the way they wanted it, but they'll look back and they kept the bar high for the Cardinals.
Coach,
I believe that's pretty much the expectation at Jacksonville High School.
Yeah.
For Bo and those kids is, they expect to be 3-4 rounds deep in the playoffs, and anything less than that would probably be considered unsuccessful for them, you know, by their standard.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so, you know, but being there again just proves that, you know, what we do works and what the system is works, and we're going to keep doing it the way we do it, and you better figure out how to stop it.
That's exactly right.
And I did talk to Bo yesterday, and obviously the whole football guys are, you know, it's going to take some time to recover, and I don't want to say recover, but you know, it takes some time to kind of stop thinking about it for a while. But they'll be back, and but Jacksonville, they play in a tough conference. They play tough non-conference teams, and I think that's benefited them the last several years is playing the Newburns, and you know, they didn't play Havelock this year, but they've played Havelock in years past, playing the Roses and the D.H. Conleys and some of those Greenville schools. So, like I said, Newbern, you know, tough schedules, they really help you come playoff time.
Yeah. And I will say this, great job putting those 10 moments together. There was a lot of moments.
Mm-hmm.
And just if anybody watching this show will see it. There was Swansboro wasn't in there, Southwest wasn't in there, Lejeune, Richlands, but each one of those teams had some significant moments, whether it be the quarterback from Swansboro, Kevin Till, whether it be Zach Garvey getting his first win at Southwest after starting off slow and trying to build something there. Lejeune, just their persistence from not scoring to not knowing if they're going to play because of the government shutdown to, you know, to grinding away, to Richlands just bouncing back and upsetting Dixon in the 8th or 9th week of the season. So you had to pick 10. You did a great job at picking 10. And some of those teams that I just mentioned that were not in the top 10 this year, there's a good chance that some of them will be in there next year.
Well, you got to figure, I mean, Richlands opens up the season with its 4th straight win over Southwest. I mean, that means a lot to the Richlands community.
Yeah.
And I thought about putting that in the top 10, but I mean,
you only had 10 spots.
Well, and then to me, I mean, the victors go the spoils.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, this recap has been brought to you by Moore Buick GMC. At Moore Buick GMC, it's more than just selling cars. It's about serving our community. Right here in Jacksonville, Charles Williamson and his folks are proud to support local schools, charities, and events while helping families find the perfect Buick or GMC to fit their lives. From rugged GMC trucks to luxurious Buick SUVs, you'll find a wide selection backed by friendly service you can trust. Whether you're buying, leasing, or servicing your vehicle, you'll always be treated like family. More Buick GMC, driven by community, powered by trust. Visit them today at their location on Highway 17 in Jacksonville or online at morebuickgmc.com. All right, so I got 2 experts sitting here in the room with me, and I know you guys don't have a crystal ball, but real quick, because we're a little over an hour, real quick, what do we have to look forward to in 2026 high school football in our area? And who's your way too early top team in the area and why? I'll start with you.
I would have to just say Northside is the number 1 team in the way too early preseason poll. But what stands out is, and we've seen this every realignment cycle, you really don't see the changes evolve until after the first year, if that makes sense. For example, if a team is really, really good in one classification and they drop down, or they drop down to a classification, they still maintain at a high level and a lot of times win a state championship. It isn't until that next year where you really start to notice their lower ADMs and so on and so forth. So it can be very interesting with the second year realignment, what the landscape is and how these teams shake up. But you would think Jacksonville is still going to be good. Croatan is still going to be good. Northside is still going to be good. So it'll be interesting to see how Dixon, moves on. So
yeah,
it'll be fun.
They've got to replace a JJ coach. You got to replace Josh along with other players.
Yeah.
Talk to me about not just that, but about the landscape next year.
Well, and I'm a big Ric Flair fan, so.
I am too, brother.
To beat a man, you got to beat a man.
That's exactly right.
Until that happens, Jacksonville's the front runner in Onslow County
Yeah.
until somebody does something about it.
Yeah.
And that's as much as being the White Oak football coach. Hate saying that. It's the truth.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So until you do that, that's what it's got to be. Northside's going to be good. They return a lot of people. We actually returned 15 starters.
Okay.
People
Yeah.
don't-
You
people don't
you got to just find somebody.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say replace Josh.
Well,
You're
you're not going to find
replace
another
him.
guy like that.
Yeah.
But I've got a guy in mind that I think if he's going to do what I think he'll do, and we're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
We'll return some solid guys up front, turn some really good skill guys at receiver, and Montez Jimenez is just as good a
back.
running back as I've coached. We feel pretty good about our chances. As long as we do what we're supposed to do in the weight room for the next 4 months.
All season, what counts, right?
Yeah. So, it's I feel pretty good about our chances of being a pretty good football team.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
But I think as a whole, Onslow County football and surrounding areas, East Duplin County,
Yeah.
Carteret County with Croatan. That the level of football is getting better and better year in and year out.
Yeah. I was just, again, I don't know if it was because doing this show and being involved in this or just the cycle that we're in, but this year just seemed like a really extraordinary year for football in our area. So that's going to wrap up the show. I hate it, man. Last football show.
Yeah.
So Down East Prep Report, brought to you by Marine Federal Credit Union, where you're more than just a member. You're part of the community. Visit marinefederal.org to learn more and discover how Marine Federal Credit Union can help you build a better financial future. So just a few programming notes. I talked about these yesterday when you could hear me, not at the beginning of the show. In the coming weeks, in conjunction with Chris's releasing of the all-area teams for the fall sports, we will be doing here on the Man Cave Media Network some shows for each sport where we'll recognize the athletes on the first and second teams and honorable mention or first, second, third teams, as well as and we'll interview the player of the year who'll be with their coach for that particular sport. We're not sure when those shows are going to air, but stay tuned. But we will have separate shows. So there'll be an all-area football show, all-area soccer show, and an all-area volleyball show. They will not be live. They're going to be recorded just because of the holidays.
Yeah.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
And but we will be airing those near the end of the year, first part of January. Also, join us next week, Monday, December 15th. We're continuing Down East Prep Report, the winter show. We're doing it on Monday until the holidays kind of gets through. Mondays at this next Monday, December 15th at 12 o'clock. Our guest will be Trevor Harden, who's returned from afar. He was here coaching Living Water Christian in basketball, and now he moved away, and now he's back. And he's going to be bringing standout guard Jaden Cooper with him. And then after the holidays, we'll be kind of getting back, hopefully, to that Wednesday show for where we're at right now for that. And then finally, be on the lookout. And I know folks that are watching all these shows are probably getting tired of this, but look for this new show that's coming in 2026 called Homegrown. It's going to be flat out awesome. I'm excited. I was talking to Coach before we came on air, and I'm going to be talking to Kamari Brown, standout at White Oak for many years, now playing at Elon 2 years, just set the single season sack record this past year at Elon. So that's one interview. We've got lacrosse players, we've got basketball players, football players. We've got all kinds of athletes that excelled here in the community, now are in college, and they're excelling there. And we're going to talk to them. Thank you. Big thanks to Humphrey Heating and Air, Jason Flood, and the Humphrey family who has partnered with this on this show, and they are the presenting sponsors. Just real quick, I want to show you guys the promo of it. I know you guys are getting tired of it, but I want to show you the promo. If you have anybody that you can think of or come to mind that fits this bill, Hunter Staub from Northside has been a great asset to me, giving me some names. So just check this out, and if this jogs anything in your mind, then just get up with us about this. So here you go.
They grew up on our fields, on our courts, in our towns. And now they've taken that hometown pride to the college stage. This is Homegrown. Real athletes, real stories, big dreams. Each episode reconnects with former high school standouts who still carry the spirit of their hometown community wherever they go. Unfiltered conversations. Grit, growth, gratitude. Because no matter how far they go, they never forget where it all started. They never forget their roots.
And that's the Homegrown series that will debut in January. So, anything else, guys, for the masses? Anything else you want to talk about?
No, released all conference stuff for the East Central and the Coastal 3A. Still waiting on the Big Carolina Conference. So, New Bern Athletic Director Lanchi, if you're listening, I need your all conference stuff.
Well, folks, if you're watching this on YouTube, we would really, 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 really appreciate you guys taking a second. If you like what you saw, first of all, if you didn't like what you see, then don't do it. But if you like what you saw, then hit the subscribe button, which is down in the lower right of the screen, and we'd appreciate it. So for our guest, Coach Jonathan Bird, and I say guest, but he's almost a regular now, and Coach Chris Miller, I'm Steve Goodson. Thank you for listening. And if you don't get to watch the show, we'll be having a couple shows before the holidays, but if you don't get to watch, happy holidays to you and your family. Thanks a bunch.